Hello, folks, and welcome to the February issue of the Flatcar community office hours. In the office hours, the maintainers give room to Flatcar users for feedback, and we'll share news and happenings in and around Flatcar. Also, we'll have a section at the end of this meeting for planning our next release. Let's start with taking a look at the agenda. So let me share my screen for that. All right, so we have a brief intro round. I don't see any new faces on the call, so since this is mainly a maintainer session, then we'll skip that and go right to the news and happenings. Matthew, do you want to take the lead and share a bit about the FOSDEM and config management camp presentations?
Yes, of course. So last weekend, 2 weekends ago, actually, it was the FOSDEM. So this is one of the biggest open source events in Europe. And a few folks from the Flatcar team were at the FOSDEM. So we gave a few talks. One about cluster API, one about getting started with Flatcar, and a final one about the Flatcar release process. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining at FOSDEM and to say hello to Flatcar contributors and maintainers. That was pretty cool to meet everyone. And right after the FOSDEM, there is a conference in Ghent called the Config Management Camp, and I was here with Adrian, and I gave a Flatcar tutorial, how to get started and how to get the base knowledge to get started with the OS and to learn how to deploy things, how to use Terraform with Flatcar, and how to manage the update and how to play with systemd sysx. So that was quite interesting. Great discussions with everyone, with the community. So yeah, that's it about the FOSDEM and config management camp.
Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, I found the interest in the container in the virtualization room talk that you gave on cluster API particularly impressive. Like the room was crammed. Very nice. And I had some good feedback on the container Linux talk that I gave. If folks want to watch the video recordings, they're linked in the agenda. And so you can get the slides and the recordings directly from the agenda. There was a third event that we organized that didn't make it on video, and that was in the BOF room. So we had a birds of a feather session with other specialized operating systems, and that was exciting because I got to meet some folks that we work together in the CNCF working group for specialized operating systems. Unicraft was there. They're doing a unikernel, and Kairos was there. They have a very specialized Linux distro as well. And we also met folks from other OSs. That was exciting, making contact. There's a Linux Foundation project called Eve, which is an Edge OS, and we had one developer there sharing their insights. And we had an embedded systems developer there who worked on a operating system that runs on Fabric, on switches. Very exciting. We're gonna repeat that at KubeCon, by the way. There will be a panel discussion at KubeCon that Danielle is driving from the Flatcar side, and we'll have all the folks from the CNCF working group on. So that'll be fun. All right, checking the agenda. We're on with the Docker 24 demo. So to give a little bit of background on what Kai will be demoing, we learned about the Docker and runC security issue when it was published last week, and we almost immediately provided a stopgap solution by releasing a Docker sysax via the bakery that addressed that and adjusted the patch. And we're fully focused on working on a full set of releases now that address this issue in all of the channels. Kai, can you demo the stopgap solution?
Yeah, so it's basically what we showed some time ago already, where we introduced this additional repository called SysX Bakery that has some build recipes for systemd SysX images. And so systemd SysX images are something that we use internally in Flatcar to kind of have different OS layers. And it's also something that users can use to deploy their software or to deploy upstream software binaries that we provide as systemd SysX images. And yeah, so that's also a way of directly using the Docker upstream binaries. And that kind of means, yeah, you directly get the latest version when we have it released as systemd SysX image, and that's independent from your OS version. So you can, for example, decide to run Flatcar LTS, but you still want the latest major Docker version. And then, yeah, you can kind of layer it on top of your base image by disabling the inbuilt Docker SysX image that we have. Okay, and yeah, maybe just share this tab quickly, how this looks like. So we have here this GitHub repository. It has these build scripts where you can create your own systemd SysX images that you can layer on top of /usr. And what you would normally do is that you set it up from Ignition. So for example, you have your own server where you host it, and then you pass it in as a file in Ignition from there. Or what you can do is consume our release binaries. So we have these releases here that are hosting the already built images. And then you can update them with systemd sys update. And that's how it's shown here in consuming the published images. We see that you kind of define the initial version you want to download on boot, so that you directly download into a fully provisioned OS. And then later on, we have the systemd sys update timer enabled now and a drop-in to update our Docker component. And so this update config for Docker is also something that we already provide. And then through this way, you kind of have an out-of-band update mechanism that keeps Docker up to date with the upstream binaries directly, instead of using the Flatcar OS update cadence. Okay, and I can show you quickly how this looks like with a QEMU Flatcar VM. So one moment. Okay, so what you should see now, yeah, it's coming. Okay. Is this terminal where I have a folder with the current LTS image downloaded, and I will just make a copy of it to boot a fresh image, and I will directly customize this fresh image through Ignition, and that's done with this butane config here that we will use. So it's what was shown in the repository README. We will define an initial version for Docker. That's already the latest one. But we'll also define this update configuration here that says to download from the GitHub releases. And we will also disable the inbuilt Docker versions that we have in Flatcar. And yeah, so I forgot one thing here actually, but yeah, let's see whether it still works. Okay, and so that's then converted to Ignition JSON. And now we have this JSON file, of course. Yeah, maybe. Okay, that's just the same contents again. And what we do now is we use this chemo wrapper script to boot a small VM where we pass in this Docker ignition file. Okay, of course, I forgot to share this screen. Anyway, yeah, just assume that your VM now is booting. And we will...
If you like, you could actually supply a -no graphic, and it'll just give you the output on a serial console.
Yeah, but I mean, normally you don't really watch the serial console anyway, so
good
you can
point.
just assume that the VM is like booting somewhere in the cloud. And when it's ready, we can use SSH, of course, and that's what this SSH Flatcar thing here will now do. And yeah, so we are on the LTS version that has an old Docker normally, and now we can check that, first let's check that our system, the sysex image is actually applied. And we see, okay, we have this Docker image here loaded. And the Docker version is 2409, the one we specified. So that's good. And runc is also the latest one. And of course, you probably also want to have a working Docker. That's something we can try quickly now. Okay, it's somehow working. We download images and seems to be fine. And now how it's kept up to date. So as I said, we have the system, the sysupdate timer and service unit, and we can check that they're actually enabled now. And yeah, so this timer unit is enabled and means in 2 hours it will check for an update from this GitHub release page that we maintain. Okay, yeah, that's it. So any questions or comments?
So there's this automatic updates, right, of the sysex bakery images, right? The sys update.
Yes, that's configured. And so what we currently do is we trigger this manually as a GitHub action pipeline, but we want to add a timer in the GitHub repository so that we don't have to remember doing this.
Yeah, it just just a thought came to my mind that we will want to eventually update Docker to version 25, and we know that it drops this device mapper storage driver. So people using the sysex bakery images need to be aware that if they keep on using this device mapper storage driver, they can expect breakage basically when we update Docker to 25 also in the bakery. So how to say, they need to be aware that those versions can break, especially if we get this automatic updates, right? When you just update Docker to 25 on the bakery side.
Yeah, so currently it would of course do the major update as you pointed out, that's correct. And because we already thought that for Kubernetes that's maybe not the best thing to do, we have a mechanism here where we generate Kubernetes major version configurations for the update, so that you can specify you want to follow a certain Kubernetes major version only, and then you only get updates for that major version.
Yeah, so maybe
that's something we do.
Docker,
could
right?
do the same for Docker,
Yeah, that would be probably a good idea.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, I mean, it is relatively easy to roll back a sysex update because they're image based, just like actually updates of the base OS. So the old image is still around, and you just need to basically repoint a soft link, and then of course stop the sys update service. But it's definitely good input. to do the major updates consciously and not automatically. That makes sense. Regarding the storage driver itself, I wouldn't even assume it's that big of an issue, because that particular storage driver has been in deprecation, I think since Docker 18.
Yeah.
And I think they officially announced that they don't ship it anymore for Docker 20. And now with Docker 24, they're actually not shipping it anymore. Docker 25 even.
Yeah.
Even Docker 24 includes a compatibility mode that detects if the device mapper driver is in use, and will fall back to a mode that Docker 24 officially doesn't support anymore. Which is neat, I think. But I mean, it's true. We should make users aware of this. Probably users that started using Flatcar on specific nodes, starting with Docker 18, because that was when the driver was still current.
Yeah. And I mean, we already had these issues once, right? I think Docker dropped some other storage driver before.
Yeah, correct.
BetterFS, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah. ButterFS driver was the same thing, the same story, and now it's just using the regular backend because it's good enough. The standard.
So I guess we need to maybe right, because we are rolling out the releases right now. So maybe this is something we could also add to the release notes, like an announce that we are going to update Docker to 25 soon. So yeah, just make sure that just see there are some deprecated things that were dropped, and make sure that you are prepared for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. It also makes sense for people to run beta canaries, right? So they see it. And with particularly with the base operating system, rolling back a node that has been updated and then workloads aren't working anymore is even easier than rolling back a sysx. So yeah, people shouldn't be afraid. Cool. All right. We don't have anything else left except for the release planning. So I guess it's open mic time. Do we have anyone here from the community who wants to start a discussion with the maintainers and has some input for us? Okay, I take that as a silent no. Cyan, can you cover the release planning, please?
You're muted. Yeah, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I guess my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah, so just giving you an update. So we are running our release right now. We are almost on the final stages. We did hit some hiccup in between, but we restarted the builds last night, and the last few tests are basically we are looking into the flaky test and trying to get a update on that. Once everything is done, we will do a go no go and prepare for the release. So expect somewhere tomorrow. Today, if we are done, we will start the process at least, and or the final we can close up by tomorrow. So that's the status of the current releases. I just yeah, and I guess folks already talked about the run seek as so we had a CV around this, and this current set of releases would handle that. And thanks Kai for the demo. I so in case you want to see other folks trying and debugging, this is a good ticket to look into. Yeah, and from the planning perspective, so so just to give an update, so in the current releases we are doing a major release for alpha beta and stable. and a maintenance release for LTS as well. So it would ship a couple of the package updates, and along with Stable has a couple of bug fixes as well. On the next releases, I plan that which would happen next month in March, and we would probably have a bunch of because this month we saw a couple of CVs getting issues with getting created, so we'll probably tackle those and update those packages. And other than the regular regular package updates, we also would see the implementation for secure boot support, and we have been started working on the system D new version. So hopefully that would be out by the next release in the alpha. And also, like, the team has been working on the CSEC, so that more work would be happening on that front. Anything else that you folks would like to add on this? I take that as a no.
Questions like,
Yeah,
do we want to, again, the Docker 25, do we want to do it for the next month's release, or we stay on 24 for a few months?
We can definitely try it for the next one. We can maybe give a more concrete decision around the developer sync meeting, because we are just starting off and there would be a couple of items on the plate. So we could take that decision. We can start working, but how it progresses would probably have a more concrete decision by the towards the developer sync meeting in 2 weeks.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else? Okay, so handing over to Tilu.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And I guess that's all for today. This brings our meeting to an end. Do you have anything, does anyone on the bridge have anything to share before we shut down the meeting? Calling once, calling twice. Thank you for joining. I hope to see everybody back at the end of February in our DevSync. Otherwise, the next community office hours will be early March. Check the discussion in the Flatcar project for details. Bye, folks, and thanks for joining.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.